My family and I took a week-long cruise aboard the Disney Dream, setting sail from New York City to Puerto Rico with stops in Bermuda and Tortola, and it was one of the best trips I've been on. We had 3 days at sea, an excursion in Bermuda, plus a walk around King's Wharf and the Royal Naval Dockyard. Stay tuned for part 2 soon with the rest of the cruise. We had an entire day to explore Manhattan before the cruise departed, and it was wonderful getting back to one of my favorite cities. We went to the iconic New York Public Library and saw their collection of incredible relics from amazing writers and historic people. We also went on a little walk through Bryant Park where they had their holiday marketplace on. And then of course my daughter had to go on the merry-go-round, which is, just iconic in New York City. And then we ate at Junior's, this delicatessen with so much amazing food. You can get a sandwich on latkes, they have matzo ball soup, huge milkshakes, burgers, and for dessert, if you still have room, you have to try one of their cheesecakes. I didn't film nearly enough in New York City, so then jump ahead with me, and it was the next day and suddenly we're boarding the Dream. Thank you. This was our third time on the Disney Dream, which happens to be our third cruise ever, to be honest, and the first time that we ever sailed out of New York City. We always try and get an early port arrival time and then we head straight to lunch, and while we usually go to Cabanas for the buffet, this time we decided we'd go to the sit-down lunch. We headed straight through the ship and had a little peek at everything before we got to Animator's palette, and it was wonderfully quiet. If you're looking for a quieter lunch, the sit-down restaurant seems to be a little less busy, especially early on, and I had to try the welcome aboard sundae. After a little time to digest, it was also time to go drop our bags in the rooms, and I had to film the carpet while I walked. I've only been on 3 cruises so far, and I'm already nostalgic about the whole ship. Our room was the Deluxe Oceanview stateroom with veranda, and waiting for us was our new Castaway Club towel bag and some goodies from Disney Cruise Line, and a treat from our family who are also cruising with us. The rooms are just the perfect size with lots of storage space, and we love the balcony views. And a very big thanks to our friends at Disney Cruise Line for these awesome treats. They were delicious. We are back on the Disney Dream for the first time in a year. We just had to do another cruise, of course, and we are leaving from our third port, so we've never left from the same port twice. So this time we're in New York, and it is just amazing, and we love being back on the ship, and it's my wife's birthday, and so just a great way to celebrate. And we're leaving from New York going to Puerto Rico, which is a fantastic destination none of us have been to, so really excited to see that and get another chance to be on the Dream. And we've got 2 stops along the way, so it's going to be great. And we've got some nice bubbly to celebrate with. I'm wearing my Disney gear here, including my Destination D23 hat that I got this year. So this will be a unique, fun cruise. We're really excited. And then we ran upstairs for the sail away party. I missed filming all of it, but I did get some highlights. Our day started out pretty gray, but it ended up being a beautiful sunset as we left New York. If you ever get the chance to cruise out New York, it's really an amazing view of the city as you roll out. Since this was November, the weather was cooler, so keep in mind that depending on when you depart, you may not be swimming or using aqueduct. That's up to you though. But the best is yet to come, and it got warmer and warmer as we sailed south. We had the sail away party, and it's now some people's dinner time, but we have the late dinner, so we don't have to head down to dinner until like 8:45, I think it is, or 8:30. But everyone's out waiting because we're gonna pass the Statue of Liberty on that side, and we already passed the main part of downtown New York right here, and it is amazing seeing so much of the city pass by, and it's beautiful at sunset, but it's chilly. It's definitely chilly, but there are definitely kids still in the pool, and there are people in the aqueduct and everything. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I never imagined being on a ship where you're like, I'm going from someplace cold to someplace warm. You know, on a plane you get on and you're like, oh, I'm going someplace warm, and then suddenly you're there. But going this gradual way, it's fascinating. It's gonna be an amazing trip. I still can't get over getting to see this view of the Statue of Liberty. It is just spectacular from the ship as it sails out of the harbor. The last big moment leaving New York City has to be going under the Verrazano Bridge. The ship moves so fast under it, and it looks like it's so close to the top of the ship. People actually cheered and clapped going under it. If you can stay to watch this, it's definitely very cool to see. I knew it was going to be cool, so I had to film it from our balcony too. We got ready for dinner after that, and our room attendant already had the room set for bed with our favorite chocolates out. And we had the chance to see the harbor vessel before it departed after guiding us out of the harbor. Bye, see you later. We popped our bubbly and had some of the cheese before we went down to dinner at Royal Palace. We had the Chateaubriand steak, rack of lamb, and all the food was very good. Plus, I love the classic opera gâteau for dessert, and my wife is a really big fan of the Grand Marnier soufflé. And keep in mind, if you have a favorite like this, you can order it in any of the restaurants. You can pick something from another menu and order it there. Out in the lobby, Anna Bakalova was performing, and we've seen her on all of our cruises, and she's just an amazing performer. One of my favorite things about being on a Disney ship is wandering at night, especially when there are movies on funnel vision. It was a bit rainy though, so I didn't stay out long, but I still love this space at night. It's a great spot to grab a slice of pizza or burger and just chill out. The next day was our day at sea, and I woke up early and just had to sit out and bask in the sun. It was a gorgeous day on our way to Bermuda. For breakfast, when you're ready, Cabanas has a buffet breakfast, which is always great. There is a restaurant serving a sit-down breakfast each day, and you can order continental breakfast to your room for free. Otherwise, here's a little peek at that route towards Bermuda. We had a great breakfast at Cabanas, which is one of my favorite spots to go for breakfast and sit out in the balcony. And then I went to the Cove Cafe for a treat. This is the Moka experience, and it is so good. It's a coffee cocktail served with this boozy froth, and it is so amazing. It's such a great treat, served right at your table. It is definitely an experience. I maybe had it a little earlier in the day than I should have, but it was a great treat. Oh my god, it smells amazing. Wow. Thank you. That's good. That's amazing. The next time on the ship, I'm definitely going back and having this again. It was perfect. It was a cool day since we still weren't that close to the South or the Caribbean yet, but I took a stroll and enjoyed the adults area, And then I had to go down to my favorite spot on deck 4 and take a little bit of a walk. I love the deck 4 promenade so much. While you're at sea, it's the perfect place to go for a walk, or you can sit or play shuffleboard. But what I love is that you can walk around the entire ship from side to side, and it's just these great views. On a bright, beautiful, sunny day, it really is something to see. It's also a great spot if you want to sit and look out at your porch, depending on where you're pulling up to, but it's just great to sit. I feel like this is a very old man thing of me to say, but some of my favorite moments on the Disney cruise is just sitting like this, relaxing, listening to the waves. It's amazing. It's a little different than anything else you're finding throughout the rest of the ship. So like, you go play games, you go make food, you can, or at least learn how to make food. You can make cocktails, you can drink cocktails, all those things, but you can also just come out to deck 4 and relax and listen to the waves as you travel between ports. It's a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful space, and it's always somewhat active, but it's always quieter than everywhere else. And the most noise you'll hear is shuffleboard somewhere. It's great. Later on, the sun came out and it was absolutely beautiful. So I had an early snack and a drink before dinner at the Animator's pallet.
Yeah, dude. There's a dude like across from you that totally looks like a turtle right now. He's got that righteous shardy noggin, dude. He totally knows how to talk turtle, dude. But dude, what kind of wax do you use? Cause like, that looks terribly awesome, dude.
Dinner was very good, and I tried something I hadn't before, and then there was a very special performance. We came back to find our crab friend here and 4 of my favorite chocolates. On our third cruise day, we woke up early and we were in Bermuda. We had an excursion booked, so we had breakfast and got down to the line to get off the ship. There were quite a few options for excursions in Bermuda, but we picked this glass bottom boat because it just seemed like a great opportunity to get out in the water while we were in Bermuda. What a lot of people don't realize about Bermuda, what we didn't actually even think about, is the fact that it's not part of the Caribbean. It's not as warm as you would expect because it's only warm in the summer, same as anywhere more northerly. The beautiful island is closer to Nova Scotia than anywhere else. In November, the ocean was just 22 degrees, so it is a bit cool. On land, it was a little warm, but on the boat excursion we took, it was just slightly cooler, and we were going snorkeling, so that was a little bit of a surprise. The Turtle Cove team took us out, and they were absolutely amazing. They took such great care of us, and you should definitely plan to bring your excursion hosts a cash tip because they deserve every bit of it. The excursion was fairly cheap for all that we learned and saw and got to do.
Good hands today, and no glass bottom boats have good missing yet this week in the Bermuda Triangle. We'll see. A quickly introduction to the cruise, the boat, and what you can expect to happen.
We learned a lot about this whole area, including the people, the history, the homes. Everything was really interesting, and the glass bottom boat stopped at a reef and showed us the creatures, coral, and so much more right underneath our feet. You're just a few feet away from the coral, and it is absolutely amazing.
This is the importance of the coral reef. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we lose these coral reefs. Hey, we found some. You lose 90% of the ocean life. The small little day feeders down there, they come for protection for the reef. The bigger fish that we'll see later, because this is shallow reefs and the fish are skittish, yes. We get over to the shipwreck there.
This shipwreck was also really cool to see in addition to everything else we saw here. This is the HMS Vixen. It was actually purposely sunk here to block the channel. It's really interesting. The fish here also wait around for free snacks, so the team on our ship obliged. They'll give you treats to throw the fish, and it is wild to see them leap out of the water and chow down in literal swarms. We also learned about the Bermuda Triangle and really why there's no reason to worry about it. After feeding the fish, we found an amazing spot to go snorkeling. From what they told us, they pick a new spot each time they go out on a trip with someone, depending on the weather and everything else. And they found this beach resort that had been abandoned a number of years ago, and we used that beach to go snorkeling. Getting into the water, you can swim, you can borrow a paddleboard, or go snorkeling. And the snorkeling was quite good. We saw a lot of fish. Plus, it was so cool just getting the chance to swim around these unique Bermudan waters. Their team provided everything for snorkeling, so they gave us the mask and the snorkel that had been cleaned properly. They gave us fins and everything. And once you get into the water, you'll be amazed at just how many fish there are. There were all kinds of fish, including sergeant majors, angelfish, snapper, lots of coral and rocks. It was really interesting. I don't even know the names of half the fish I saw, but they were quite helpful in the moment to explain things to us. It was very cool. And the important thing to remember here is do not hit the coral. You cannot touch it. It's important to stay away from it, to protect it and keep it healthy and thriving. We'll see how far I get. Their team will also give you a life vest if that's what you want to wear while you're swimming, or you can take a noodle, which actually works surprisingly well for snorkeling, and it helps them be able to spot you in case you're getting too far away or having any issues. But look at all these little fish. And then there were bigger fish, and there were some spots where you'd see them crowding around underneath the rocks. It was really something. Very unique environment to go snorkeling. Once you get used to the water, it was wonderful. Even in November, it actually was very easy to get used to. And you will find that if you're there in the summer months, of course, that it will be perfect swimming weather. Was such a cool experience. It's a beautiful, beautiful spot out here. On our tour, we also got to see all the beautiful homes with all the colorful houses. It's really a unique spot to tour through. There are lots of options for excursions in Bermuda, so definitely check them out when you're booking your Disney cruise. The best part of official excursions with Disney Cruise Line is that they will always arrive back in tons of time for you to get right back on board the ship, so you're never going to be late. So just be careful if you're booking anything else. It is possible that you could arrive back too late and the ship will leave. We booked a shorter excursion so we'd have time to walk around the port afterwards before the ship was set to sail. So we did a little walking and explored the restaurants, shops, and stores. Calico Jack's is a floating bar where you can get drinks that's right near the ship, but we walked further to see the rest of the old port. The port was originally built in 1795, and there are lots of proper British influences still everywhere you look. Locally, they use the Bermudian dollar, but you can use US dollars at par. And there are some fun things to shop for, including rum cakes, clothing, things to take home. And it's a short walk back to the ship when it is time to go. They don't work, but how cool is this? Like, olden times. Once upon a time, that's how we made calls. We didn't have our cell phones. There's history everywhere in the port area of Bermuda. From the walls to the store buildings, it's weathered and aged and beautiful. And I really do appreciate all the little shops along here. There is a pharmacy, there's this amazing potter, and inside this little mall at the end, you'll find clothing, gifts, and art. So if you walk along all the way to the end, basically, from where you start out at the ship, there's this little mall here, and they've got a little Italian place you can eat if you want. Have something different than the ship. Lots of clothing stores. It's a neat little spot. There's jewelry and perfume and everything. It's a great little spot. If you don't have an excursion planned, it's about maybe a 15-20 minute walk all the way around the loop, basically to close to the other side of this fort, I believe it is. And there's shops all along the way, there's food and stuff. It's cute. I mean, there's lots of fun little things. The excursions are definitely the highlight of coming to Bermuda here. You won't have a lot of time to explore, but it's very nice. In the port, you'll find the rum barrel where, yes, you can buy duty-free rum. Just keep in mind the DCL holds all liquor purchases until the end of the cruise. So when you return to the ship, you'll log it in with them and then pick it up as you depart the ship on your last day. We had a really great excursion, and that to me was the highlight. But seeing this part of Bermuda, obviously it's a real tiny peek into the whole area, but it's wonderful. It's a cool little stop. It's more interesting than some of the places I've heard about, so I'd say definitely worth a stop for at least step out, spend 2 hours walking around. You can have a meal somewhere other than the normal places. It's kind of cool. Just look at the color of the water. It is unbelievable. The most important tip that I can provide is, of course, be back for when they tell you to be back, because you've all probably seen videos of people who run back and miss their boat and have to find their way to the next port, which I cannot imagine. We had a pretty early time back on for 3 o'clock, so kind of early, but it worked out for us because we did the excursion and wandered around. It was wonderful. And as with all the destinations, you need photo ID to get back on, and you need your key to the world, or they will not let you back on. We got back to our room and dropped our stuff, and shortly thereafter the Dream set sail right on time. I always find it interesting watching the port slip away from the balcony. It's a very cool view, especially in a port like this where the water is just so beautiful. Down the lobby, we waited to meet Stitch and Chip and Dale, and my daughter was so happy to meet them. Even my wife met some of the characters since we're all Disney fans. Once again, I took a walk at night, and it was definitely getting warmer. The pools were quiet, but people were hanging out. I went for happy hour at Currents. Most of the bars have happy hours at some point in the day, so you can get some deals on drinks, including their beer on tap, which I really enjoyed. And every day there's also a drink of the day on special that you can get in the dining rooms and the bars for cheap. Leaving Bermuda, we had a couple of days at sea ahead of us before we were going to reach Tortola. About Disney, we have to talk about the kids' activities, because that is a huge part of what makes these cruises fun and different from most other offerings. Because if you ever seen a character dance party, this whole lobby was dancing and into it. The adults, parents, the kids. It's really amazing to see this in person, and everyone loved it. Disney Cruise Line has a number of special events with their characters throughout the entire cruise. So right up until the last night before departure, there are events that you can get your kids or your family out to meet with most of the characters. It is really something. They're in the lobby. You'll find them performing on stage shows and various events across the ship. And of course, the kids' spaces have the characters come in for special meet and greets too. I'm definitely an adult, a grown-up as it were, but at the same time I definitely had to meet a couple of the characters. It's just adorable and so well done. Our dinner that evening was at the Enchanted Garden. I have to say they have a really fantastic menu. It might be my favorite. They have this lobster ravioli and they have prime rib, and it was a great meal, and then it was time for sleep. That's it for part 1. Thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2 with our brunch at Powell, touring Tortola, a few of my favorite moments on the cruise, including at sunset. And then you'll also see a lot of Puerto Rico. It was an amazing, amazing destination, and I cannot say enough about this place. If you ever have the chance to take a cruise that ends or starts in Puerto Rico, you need to make the time to stop here. So stay tuned for that. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Feel free to leave them below. I'll get back to you. Thank you so much. I definitely heart Puerto Rico.